All right, let's get right into it. When you're building a startup, picking your co-founder is, without a doubt, one of the biggest decisions you will ever make. It is literally like location in real estate. It's that fundamental. So we're going to break down why the way most people go about it is completely backward and how the real answer might just be someone you already know. So let me ask you a question. What do you think is the #1 startup killer? Now, I bet most of you are thinking they run out of money, right? And look, that's what it says on the death certificate, but it's usually just a symptom of a much, much deeper problem, a human problem. And this quote from Paul Graham just absolutely nails it. See, the real silent killer of startups isn't an empty bank account. It's an empty spirit. It's demoralization. Building a company is an insane emotional roller coaster. The lows are crushing, and it's that exhaustion, that feeling of being completely drained that makes most founders just give up. They stop typing. And that leads us directly to the human element. Because you know what one of the biggest sources of that fatal demoralization is? Conflict. Yeah, fights between co-founders. All that tension and disagreement, it can suck the life out of a company faster than anything else. Now, you might be thinking, okay, simple, I'll just go it alone. Whoa, not so fast. That is a classic trap. The truth is, the sheer moral weight of a startup, it's just too much for one person to handle. You need someone in the trenches with you, someone to share that burden, to tell you you're not crazy. I mean, come on, even Bill Gates had a co-founder. So, you need a co-founder. The logical next step is to go out and find one, right? Hit up the networking events, go to some meetups, start actively recruiting. Wrong. And this is the big kind of counterintuitive idea we're digging into today. That entire approach is fundamentally flawed. And this slide really lays out the whole mindset shift. The myth, the thing everyone tells you to do, is to go on this hunt for a co-founder, like you're filling a job rack. But the reality? The best partnerships are never found that way. They emerge. They grow organically out of actually working together and respecting each other's work. Here's the thing. Forcing it just doesn't work. When you're actively looking for a co-founder, you're so much more likely to pick someone who just, looks good on paper, but is totally the wrong fit in practice. It's the same reason you shouldn't try to force a startup idea. You end up with something that sounds plausible, but deep down, it's just weak. Okay, so if you don't look for a co-founder, how in the world do you actually get one? It sounds like a total paradox, right? But the answer is simple. You have to stop trying to get one. Instead, you need to focus on creating the conditions where a great partnership can just happen on its own. And here's the playbook for making that happen. It's a 3-step process. First, get really, really good at something that matters. Second, take that knowledge and start working on interesting problems, little side projects that you find genuinely cool. And third, and this is the absolute game changer, do it with people you already like and respect. Your future co-founder will emerge naturally from that. See? This is why friendship is your secret weapon. You're not sitting across a table interviewing candidates. You're just building cool stuff with your friends. The co-founder relationship becomes a natural byproduct of doing work you love with people you admire, not the stressful end goal of a search. And that process, working on those side projects together, it's not just for fun. You should think of it as the ultimate audition. It is a real-world stress test for a partnership that you could never, ever replicate in an interview or a coffee meeting. Just think about it for a second. How does this person act when the pressure is on? What happens when there is a huge bug at 2 in the morning? Are they resilient when your brilliant idea completely bombs? How do you guys argue? These are the real questions, the things that actually make or break a startup, and you only see the answers when you're in the trenches building something together. And here's a great kind of funny mental shortcut for that tenacity you're looking for. It's called the animal test. You need someone who is just relentlessly resourceful, a person who finds a way to get things done, no matter what. And the test is simple. If you can say so-and-so is an animal, and it doesn't sound like a total joke, well, you might be onto something. Okay, so you found someone you can build with, someone who passes the animal test. But what's the right team size? How many co-founders should you have? Because believe me, this is just as important as who they are. The answer is actually pretty specific. The magic number, the real sweet spot, is between 2 and 4 founders. Any less than that, and it's too lonely. Any more, and it gets way too crowded. And here's exactly why that number works so well. A solo founder, like we said, is just crushed by that moral weight. It's almost impossible. With 2 or 3 founders, you've got support, and you're forced to work through disagreements quickly because if you don't, the company dies. But once you get too many founders, those same disagreements can turn into factions, into politics, and that is a recipe for total disaster. So let's wrap up with this thought. Your future co-founder is probably not some stranger you're going to meet over stale coffee at a networking event. They're much more likely to be someone you already know, someone you already admire. So the real question isn't, where do I look? The real question is, who could you message right now to start building some small, fun project with this weekend? Stop looking and start making. That's how you'll find them.